And I'm finally so honored to introduce the 54th president of Pi Kappa Alpha, Chris Peterson.
So I hope all of you one day will get introduced like that. Thank you. So Sharon, did you guys really get married 39 years ago today? Where are you? You got married the same day Lance was born. I can't believe no one put that together. So there's this parable that I like to share about a man hundreds of years ago who wanted to become enlightened. So he found a Zen master and asked the Zen master, "Master, how do I become enlightened?" The Zen master walked him in front of this beautiful mountain and asked the man, "What do you see?" The man said, "I see a mountain." And he said, "Okay, I want you to sit here and stare at that mountain, and I will come back in 1 year, and I want you to tell me what you see." So 1 year later, the Zen master comes back, and the man's sitting there looking at the mountain, and he says, "What do you see now?" And the man said, "I see God's work. I see the beauty of the earth right before me." And he went on for 10 minutes about how beautiful this mountain was. The Zen master looked at him and said, "Stay here. I will come back in 1 more year." So he sat there for another year, looking at the mountain. Zen master comes back 1 year later, asks him, "What do you see now, son?" With a smile on his face, he said, "I see a mountain." The Zen master looked at him and said, "You are enlightened." So many people listen to that parable and they think it's about simplicity. They think the point is that he made it too complex. This is about simplicity. It was a mountain before, it was a mountain after. It wasn't about simplicity. The parable is about going through a journey. He didn't see the same mountain the second time. You have to go through a journey to truly be enlightened, although you'll see the same thing that you saw at the beginning of the journey. My journey through Pi Kappa Alpha has been an amazing, amazing journey that all of you, or most of you out there, are just now starting. And I look down this table here of the former past international presidents, and I think about who I had a chance to follow. And my journey has just been amazing. It also reminds me of a story actually that Shad and Mark Dijak, Shad shared this, that's hard to say, with me. He was having a conversation with Mark Dijak a few years ago when they were both on council. And Shad said, "Mark, do you believe we're on council? I think of people like Jerry Askew and Tommy Turner and Joe Turner, and I just can't believe that we are like them. They were so intelligent. They were just bigger than life. We're not like them." And Dijak looked at Shad and said, "Shit, yeah, we are." It's a wonderful story. But I tend to be in Shad's camp. Sometimes I wonder, what am I doing here when I look down this road? I look at people like Kevin Verda, who I've always admired as far as understanding the core of any issue. You don't even realize you do that. It's like asking a fish how wet it is. But you get to the core of every topic. Kevin Canals, who walks into a room and just lights that room up. Always wanted to do that, Kevin. You told me one time when I was about 24, 25, don't ever worry about an interview, don't ever worry about a sales call. Because they want you to be the guy. They don't want to talk to another salesperson. They want you to be the guy. I have thought that 50,000 times since then. Thank you for that. John Michael Williams working me through a lot during the time when I just didn't know what I wanted to do in my life for a career anyway. You helped me be a sounding board. Just the experience down there that has just helped my journey. And it also intimidates me from where I am. But thank you all for what you've done and putting us, I think the phrase is, when you drink the water, thank the men that built the well. You men built the well. Thank you. So I could sit up here until Tuesday, which we're not going to. We have legislation to do later, which we're going to finish today. Thanking people. So what I did is I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stick to 5 thank yous, and that's it. So some of you aren't going to get thanked, and I apologize, but I had to limit this. First of all, the fellow members of the Supreme Council that I've served with, thank you. Thank you for just having fun. Thank you for being fraternity brothers of mine. It'd be really easy to get caught up in all this, how important we are. But really, it was like a chapter, and it was fantastic. So John Mang, Tom Olson, Mac Recco, Larry Eby, Mike Riley, Steve Heck, Shad Williams, Mark Dijak, Mike McMillan. Did I leave anybody out? Ryan McMahon. Who did I leave out? Landon Letford. Sorry, Landon. Sitting next to my wife, and I let you out. Thank you. It's been a blast. There were a few alumni at the University of Florida that really gave me what I needed at an age when I needed it. And what that was self-confidence. I was confident on the baseball field, on the football field, in the weight room. Very confident. But I was extremely insecure outside of those environments. And I didn't know if I'd be able to transfer skills into the real world. And there were 5 alumni at the University of Florida: Larry Ramers, Rick Nail, Steve Beeland, and 2 are here right now, Ernie Cox and A. Frank Smith. And what the 5 of you did, and you don't realize you did it for me, but what you did is you supported me and you told me that I was a leader. I was the captain of my baseball team in high school, but that's because I was a 3-year letterman. Had nothing to do with my leadership skills. You were the first people, and I admired you, I looked up to you, and you said you're a leader. You need to run for president. You need to be the SMC. I'd never heard that in my life. I heard, hey, you're a great student, Chris, you're a great athlete, Chris, never you're a great leader. Thank you for that. So a lot of people say things like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And yeah, you probably would, right? I literally would not be here right now if it wasn't for Shad Williams. Shad's one of my best friends, and when he was elected to the Supreme Council, he said, we got to get you back involved, man. I said, I'd love to be involved. You hear a lot of these stories from alumni. Yeah, he talked to me, he wore me down, he got me, I thank him so much for talking me into getting back involved. He didn't have to talk me into it. I wanted to get involved. What he had to do is he had to work things internally to get support for me to be involved. He had to go out on a limb and say, hey, this guy, Chris Peterson, needs to be doing this. And he introduced me to people like John Babango, like Mike Riley. And in 2016, I got back involved. I was asked to be a director on the PIKE University board, and now I'm here today. It would not happen if Shad didn't go out on a limb. Thank you. Would everybody on the fraternity staff please stand? Please. I know you've done this before, but do it right now again, please. I'm the president for a little bit longer. Look around, folks. This is the greatest nonprofit professional staff on the planet. They're the reason that we're here right now. Thank you all. So, Shad mentioned that the most important thing in my life is my daughter, my wife. And he's right. And there's a lot. There's a lot to a family that goes beyond what you see in the movies. There's a lot in the family that y'all didn't see growing up that you'll see when you're married and you have your own kids. It's a partnership. And when one partner is gone, there's a lot of work that's put on the other partner, especially when the other partner works 60 hours a week as well. And there's a lot you give up as a 9, 10, 11-year-old girl when your father's gone. And I travel for work as well. Hey, I got to go up to the University of New Hampshire to do a chartering on Friday. See ya. Yeah, I've got to go to Richmond, and then University of Alabama's got a 100-year anniversary. I'll see you Sunday. That sucks. But there wasn't once, not an eye roll, not a hesitation, not a hint from a friend that my wife Shannon ever complained and did nothing but support me in this. So thank you for that. And my daughter, Manhattan, I asked her recently, within the last 4 weeks or so, if she regretted that I did this. And she said, no, I think it's cool. I tell all my friends you're the PIKE president. And I don't think that there is an 11-year-old girl that knows what the PIKE president is, but now they do. So thank all of you. All right. In Louisville 2 years ago, I stood up here when I was elected and I said, the rest of the higher education world is shrinking. We're shrinking, but you know what we're going to do at PI Kappa Alpha? We're going to grow. And I committed that we are going to grow by 20% from June 30th of 2022 to June 30th of 2024. I want to share a few things with you about how well you did. In this shrinking marketplace, we grew by 1%. 1%. But that's not how well you did. The reason we grew by 1% is because we lost almost 2,000 undergraduates to charters that were revoked because of bad behavior, because of stupid behavior, because of cowardly behavior. If you take out those chapters, the people in the room right now, just you, the work you did, the sweat you put into this in a shrinking market, you grew by 13% over a 2-year period. You did that. Great job, everybody. All right, so this is where I talk about the last 2 years. This is where I talk about everything that we've done in the last 2 years. And you guys start checking Instagram. I'm not going to do that. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because I don't have to do that. You know what we did in the last 2 years? What we did in the last 2 years is there. It's you. Look at this room. Look at the look in everybody's eyes. Look at the attitude that we have right now. Look at the competitive edge in the person across from you at your table. Look at the feeling. Feel it in this room right now. The only feeling I can call it is PIKE. And we've got it back. We came out of COVID, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know who we were. We've worked so hard on that in the last 2 years. Now we have standing room only at a convention in Oklahoma City. We're not in Las Vegas, folks. We decided to flock on Oklahoma City. I was in the elevator last night with the foundation trustee, Tony Williams. He said, "This is a freaking fraternity party, man. This is awesome." And it is. I don't need to talk about the last 2 years. I'm looking at it. And you're here. Great job, guys. Great job. So what I want to do with the remainder of my time, and I thought a lot about this, one of my first experiences in the international fraternity was going to the 1992 Phoenix Convention, and I saw Jerry Askew give his outgoing speech. And I got to tell you, man, I've spent a lot of money in the last 24 months on therapy because I knew I had to follow that. But I realized also that that speech had such an impact on me when I was sitting in the audience that I owe it to you. So what I'm going to share with you, I'm a guy that was sitting in your seat, and now it's 30 plus years later. So I'm going to share with you what I think you need to do with your life. I'm going to give you what I feel you should do. It's not your father. I don't know who you are. It's from another Pike's perspective to you. As you get out past that wicket door, what do you do? First thing, I want you to embrace the hard things in life. Man, this is hard. Let me share with you why. Everything in life is relative. And so many people are talking about, and it's a great message, that you shouldn't be comparing yourselves to others, and you shouldn't worry about what the car the neighbor has, and you shouldn't, by the way, you should not. But the way our brain is wired is we compare to everybody around us, because our brain is wired to survive. And everything in your existence is relative to what other people do. And here's what other people do. When the hard times come, when the hard things in life happen, what other people do is they wallow in their misery. They think about how hard it is. They drink a lot. They party a lot. They do whatever they have to do to forget how bad it is. Imagine if you didn't do that. Imagine about when the hard times in life come by, you didn't do that. Imagine if what you did is you thought about how great this is. What is an opportunity about this? I'll give you a really very recent example, as recent as Wednesday. You know, on Wednesday, my company lost a big project for the fourth quarter that I thought we were going to win. I thought it was done, actually. So here I am at the Omni. I have to go to dinner that evening with the fraternity staff and be engaged. And this just kicked me right in the gut. Gone. No vacation next year. Kidding. And I remembered this about embracing the tough times. And so there's a process you go through. First of all, you embrace it. First of all, you say thank you, because I'm going to learn something from this. I'm going to be further ahead because of this. You feel the feelings. You don't ignore them. You don't drink them. You don't drink by them. Or drink them away. That would be the right way. You don't suppress them. You feel the feelings, but you also tell yourself, this is a good part of my life. And then you list the things that you can do. I was like, okay, well, it's going to give me back about 100 hours in the fourth quarter. That's fantastic. We weren't really making that great of a margin on this anyway. That's awesome. I can focus on this over here because we're hiring somebody in December. I can focus on here. I was thinking of all the positives that could come from it. And then the most important thing of this is I was able to disengage from that and be completely present for dinner on Wednesday night. And dinner was an incredible experience Wednesday night. By the way, at dinner, all I wanted was a bourbon with a big cube in it so I could feel a little bit more relaxed. I challenged myself, don't have anything to drink tonight. Work through this. Work through your emotions. Embrace it. Here's what happens when you do this a million times throughout your life. Eventually, the hard times don't bother you because you know you're going to get through it and your brain is wired where, oh, another hard time. That's all right. We'll figure out something. Right now, if you try it, your brain's going to say, what are you, nuts? Your girlfriend just broke up with you. Life sucks. It's over. That's what your brain's going to say. You've got to force it back on your brain. You've got to embrace it, and you've got to say, no, here's what I'm going to do. oh my God, I just got a terrible score in the LSAT. I'm not going to go to law school. I'm going to be homeless by the time I'm 25. No, I'm going to embrace this. I'll try harder on the LSAT. Or maybe I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm going to do something else with my life. But you figure those things out. And then ultimately what happens is it doesn't matter. You don't get that bothered by the hard things, but you have to embrace them. Embrace the hard things in life, guys. Number two, and this kind of goes with number one in a way, but I wanted to keep it separate because I thought it would be, I've got 4 things, by the way. I don't have 17 things. I wanted to keep it somewhat separate because I want you to remember it. I want you to keep moving forward. When my daughter was probably 3 years old, we watched a movie called Meet the Robinsons, a cartoon. You guys see Meet the Robinsons? All right, a lot of you liars out there because you're embarrassed to raise your hand that you've seen Meet the Robinsons. The whole theme of it was to keep moving forward. And the next day I got in my car and I remember this vividly, pulling out of the driveway and just had a bunch of things happen that morning. And I told myself, keep moving forward. And it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I learned something from this stupid cartoon yesterday that we watched. And I've used that mantra 30,000 times in the last 7 or 8 years. The challenge with it is it's so hard at first. So hard. You think, oh, I'm not Tony Robbins. I wish he'd shut up. I can't keep moving forward. So what you've got to do is you've got to do it every single day. Because every day you wake up, don't hit the snooze alarm. Keep moving forward. Get up and go at it. You don't feel like doing something, do it. You don't want to get in a cold shower, get in a cold shower. Intentionally turn that shower on cold and get in there. And your brain ends up wiring itself to where you're going to keep moving forward no matter what happens to you. Number 2, keep moving forward. Number 3, remember, even though you're going to doubt it 20 million times, remember, you've got what it takes. You've got what it takes. I wish someone told me this when I was your age. I wish someone told me that you've got what it takes. It's going to be okay. My wife Shannon said to me one time, I wish you saw yourself the way your friends do. Life would have been a lot easier. And she was right. So I'm telling you to tell yourself that. To tell yourself that it's going to be okay, that you've got to, look, all of you are pretty confident young men. All of you are pretty ambitious, pretty talented young men. And the cockiest person out there, I'll tell you right now, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, do I have what it takes? Am I going to get into medical school? Am I going to be a decent salesperson? What am I going to do? I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with my life. Am I going to make it? Folks, I've seen your competition. I've seen the world. You're going to make it. It's not that hard. Bad times come. You've got to embrace them. You've got to keep moving forward, but you will be fine. The reason I want this message to go through to you is because I want you to stop worrying about things. And that's really easy to say. Stop worrying. What's your problem? You can train yourself to stop the worrying. Just keep telling yourself, I got what it takes. And then ultimately what happens is you've done this 5 million times, you realize, wait a minute, I really do. This is going to be fine. This is going to be fine. Number 3, no matter what the doubt, always remember that you've got what it takes. By the way, I forgot to say one thing about it. You know that. A friend of mine's father told me one time, actually he asked me, I told Anthony from staff this yesterday, this story. Chris, you know what the longest distance in the universe is? I said, no, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me. He says, the distance between your brain and your heart. Man, that's true. You know you've got what it takes. You know you'll be okay. But you got to feel it. And the more you tell yourself, the more you're going to feel it. The shorter that distance gets. So before I go to my 4th thing I want you to do, I'm going to read a poem to you. not the entire poem. I just selected certain parts of it. This was part of our ritual until the 1930s. And a lot of chapters still use it in their initiation. I shouldn't say a lot, but some. When this new badge grows old, is what it's called. When we were doing West Virginia University's chartering 2 years ago, Josh Gronk read this during the, and I had heard A. Frank read it many times, but I had heard A. Frank read it when I had a new badge, not an old badge. Josh read it 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I have an old badge, and it meant so much to me to hear those words. So I'm going to read part of it now, and I'm going to share with you the fourth and final thing that I want you to do moving forward in your life. When this new badge grows old, we've slipped the bandage from your eyes, we've drawn aside the veil that hides our sacred mysteries from men beyond our pale. And now upon your glad young breast, we place a badge of gold. You cannot know how richly blessed till this new badge grows old. This little hour of happiness shall light your future way through years whose course we can but guess from promise of today. Unreckoned now, some happy boy may watch his name enrolled and wear his father's pen with joy when this new badge grows old. Then close together hand to hand and heart to heart, for oh, tonight cannot understand, but someday you shall know. So now upon your glad young breast, we place this pin of gold. God grant you only his very best while this Pike badge grows old. Gentlemen, the thing I want you to do, the fourth thing I want you to do, and the thing more important than everything I've said today, I want you to never stop loving Pi Kappa Alpha. Like the man wanting to be enlightened when he first looked at the mountain, and he saw the mountain, and he stated, it's a mountain. You first read the very first words written in 1868 for the establishment of friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. It's a mountain. It made sense to you. It's not that complex. For the establishment of friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. It's important to you, just like it was important and it was significant to that man when he said, that's a mountain. And then you go on your journey and you find out so much more about Pi Kappa Alpha. You find out about the leadership skills. You find out about the international fraternity, and you find out about the deep friendships that you can get. You find about the networking, the professional development. Then you get out in the real world and you find out all the connections you can make and all the value of the fraternity. Just like that man said, I'm looking at God's beauty right now. You see all the huge magnitude, the vastness of this organization. And then you get to my age, and you realize that's important. It's made a big difference in my life. But it's really just about friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. That's the core of this organization. And I don't want you to forget that. And I don't want you to stop loving this fraternity, because you can't see what I see until you go through the journey. If you graduate and then go off and you don't go back for events, you don't talk to your fraternity brothers, you don't come to events like this, you don't go to football games, you don't go to golf tournaments, you don't keep loving Pi Kappa Alpha, you're just going to see the mountain the same way you saw it on day one. You have to go through the journey. And then one day it all comes back to, it's all about establishing friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. Everything else is icing on the top, because that's such a deep, rooted sentiment. You got to get there, folks, and you only do it in a journey. So, this is my happy place. even though I've been holding back from bawling for the last 10 minutes. I love the lectern. Some people, it's the beach. Some people, it's going in their sauna. It's their backyard. This is my happy place. It's my happy place because all the emotions, they just come at once. Joy, fear, stimulation, it's a challenge. I love being here. I've always loved being here. And this is the last time I will be here as your international president. So I need you to do one thing for me. One more time. I need it. I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to ask it 3 times. Every time I ask the question, I want you to answer with PIKE, and I want you to answer as loud as you can possibly yell it. You guys cool with that? I mean, it's post-lunch. I want to make sure we got to get rolling for the legislative session. I want to hear it. I want the people in Stillwater to hear it. I want Dallas to hear it. We ready to roll? All right, I'm going to ask that question, and then 3 times in a row. PIKE. Ready? Who's the greatest fraternity in the world? PIKE! Who's the greatest fraternity in the world? PIKE! One more time. Who's the greatest fraternity in the world? PIKE! All right, good job, everybody.
Thank you so much, Chris. We are concluding this afternoon's program just a little bit early for all of our delegates. Please make sure, try to get there 5 or 10 minutes early so that we can move through our second legislative session. Thank you very much.